Before things broke apart, my spouse and I had been together for 10 years. After 3 years of marriage and 7 years of dating, he cheated on me. I was destroyed not only by the dishonesty, but also by how deliberate and meticulous everything was. Our bedroom now has cameras installed by him, not to guard our house or keep me safe, but to show his mistress that he wasn't molesting me. It went as deep as that. One social media post was the beginning of it all. A dazzling image of a Hermes Birkin bag, the kind that costs more than most people's yearly pay, caught my attention while I was browsing through my page. The caption said, "Thank you, my love." A little gift from his business trip to France for this soon-to-be mom. Sophia Richards was the girl on the poster. Fresh-faced, youthful, and attractive. The tag for the location? San Francisco's most upscale area. Admiration poured into the comments area. Miss S. Richards' money, romance, and ideal existence made everyone envious. If my husband hadn't been the dear husband she was thanking, it would have been even more admirable. I felt cold anger twist in my chest as my fingers lingered over the keyboard. I then typed a single line beneath her message, almost without thinking, "You should be more discreet." Sophia fired back a second later, "You're just jealous." As a plan started to take shape, I leaned back in my chair, laughed to myself, and stared at her response. My eyes strayed to the Birkin Vincent had bought back from France, which was seated next to me. An excellent fake. After switching to my personal profile from my dummy account, I snapped several close-ups of the bag and the receipt. I created a new post with a casual flick of my fingers, sis. My husband got me this on his trip to France, but something feels off. Can anyone help me verify if it's real? I logged off and waited, satisfied. They laid the trap. Vincent and I were both driven and ambitious when we first met in college. I was the only woman he could ever envision himself establishing a future with, he used to remark. Both of us joined my father's business after graduating. My father was preparing me to eventually take over the company, but Vincent was shrewd. I assumed it was love when he played the part of the helpful spouse, persuading me to let him take care of the business's workload so I could relax. I interpreted that as dedication. I was very innocent. It all changed 6 months ago. As esteemed alumni, Vincent and I received an invitation to the centennial celebration of our old institution. I saw Sophia for the first time there. She had a youthful appeal that made men feel important, and her eyes were bright. "Mr. Richards, I'm sorry to bother you, but I didn't quite understand parts of your speech. Would it be okay if I added you on social media? Maybe you could help me if I have questions?" Vincent had looked at me for approval, and I can still remember it. Grinning, the first nodded, fully trusting him. I had no idea that was the start of the end. Lying had never come naturally to Vincent. Perhaps it explains why the alterations were so noticeable. At his phone, the reticent person smiles. The unexpected business travels. The decreasing closeness. Every time I entered the room when he was texting someone, he would tense up. Then the cameras one day. "It's for your safety," Vincent had commented while petting my hair. "There have been some break-ins in the neighborhood. I just want to check in on you when I'm away. It helps me feel at ease." I didn't ask any questions. I ought to have. I noticed his phone on the counter as I was getting out of the shower the night I found out, illuminated with a fresh message. I was hesitant since I'd never been the kind of wife to pry, but something didn't feel right. My birthday was still his password. I opened it. "Is the camera installed?" "Vincent, you promised me. You're not allowed to touch her." My heart almost stopped. Who sent it? Sophia. The earlier texts had been erased as I scrolled up. I returned his phone to its original location with trembling hands. I didn't go up to him. I couldn't just yet. I gave Vincent a gentle kiss as he went to bed that evening. With a courteous smile, he withdrew. "Don't be like that," he whispered. "I'm tired." "What is causing your fatigue? Maintaining his mistress's satisfaction?" I quit being the idiot after that. I went back to work for the corporation, taking back my position at the top. When I entered the office, Vincent had a priceless expression on his face. "Elena, what are you doing here?" I gave a charming smile. "Well, you're always so busy, and I barely get to see you anymore. I asked my dad to reinstate my position at the company. This way, we can be together every day." Vincent's jaw tensed, and the panic in his eyes was hardly hidden by his fake grin. He had subtly increased his power within the organization over the years by establishing himself as essential. He most likely believed that I would never question him. He was mistaken. "Honey," I continued, placing a finger to his chest, "you've been working so hard. It's not good for your health. I spoke with Dad, and he gave you permission to take a 2-week vacation, which I have already arranged." Vincent's expression grew gloomy. "That's not necessary. There are important deals. Dad can handle it," I said with ease. "You need to rest." I watched as he came to the conclusion. His smile came back as he gave my hand a light squeeze. "Elena, you're amazing. Fantastic, eh?" If only he were aware. For his little getaway, Vincent brought Sophia to the beach home. He even failed to remember my birthday. I received a call from my father that morning rather than my devoted hubby. "Elena, since Vincent isn't home, why don't you come over? I got you a big cake." My father has not even remembered my birthday for years. We never had a close relationship. We lived together in courteous solitude after my mother passed away. Now that he had seen what Vincent was doing, I knew why he was contacting me. He was aware of Vincent's danger. My father was seated at the head of the dining table when I got there. It was a huge cake with 27 layers. Correct. Today was my 27th birthday. "Do you know why Vincent isn't here?" I responded. My dad paused. "Because he's with another woman." I spoke in a cool, collected tone. I tasted the icing after dipping my finger into it. "Doesn't taste the same anymore." My dad's eyes grew softer. "Elena, you don't have to handle this alone." "I'm not," I said in a steady, low voice. "Just back me up when the time comes." "And when did Vincent return from his journey?" I would wait. I was waiting for Vincent when he returned from his trip. With a smug little smirk on his lips and a shopping bag in hand, he walked through the front door as if nothing had occurred. "Elena, I missed you. Sweet as honey," I returned the smile. "Did you?" He placed the bag on the kitchen counter and remarked, "Of course, with ease. I got you a little something from France." I took the Hermes Birkin out of the bag. My smile grew as I ran my fingertips over the leather and noticed the small variations between this purse and the one Sophia had shown off online. This one was phony. Sophia's? Unquestionably authentic. I whispered, "Wow," as I raised the bag. "You have great taste." Vincent moved in to plant a kiss on my temple as his gaze grew softer and his hand settled on my waist. "Seeing you makes all the exhaustion disappear." I put the bag down and laughed a little. "You must be tired. You should rest." Vincent grinned, but his mouth was constricted, as I could see. The tension that lies beneath the allure. I didn't question him about his vacation, but he was waiting for me to. I gave him a cheek kiss and turned to leave. Give him a chance to perspire. Sophia shared the actual Birkin on Instagram the following day. Because I could identify the stitching, the leather's texture, and the hardware's faint sheen, I knew it was the actual one. She even dared to tag San Francisco as the location. "Thank you, babe. You're the best." Heart emoticons and jealous comments were all over the comments section. After a moment of staring at the photo, I grinned and went to my dummy account. "Sis, that's gorgeous." "Where did he buy it?" "Mine looks a little off." Sophia did not respond, but she did like the comment. "Obviously not." I made the decision to put Vincent to the test. While eating lunch, I texted him, "Honey, I think the bag you got me might be fake." Ava said, "The stitching looks wrong." "Did you get it from the official boutique?" Almost immediately, Vincent answered, "No way. I bought it from the official Hermes store." "Maybe it's just a quality control issue?" "Maybe," I typed in response, "or maybe someone switched it." Quiet. A half hour went by, nothing. A knock on my office door followed. With a pallid face, Vincent walked in. "Elena, I'm sorry if you're not happy with it. I can buy you another one." I let my shoulders drop a little inside. "It's okay, darling," I whispered gently as I touched his hand. "I don't care about the bag. I just want to spend time with you. Is that okay?" His eyes flickered with shame as his body tightened for a second before softening. "Of course. When things calm down at work, we'll go on a trip. How about Norway? You've always wanted to see the fjords." I said, "I'd rather spend a few days in San Francisco," while closely observing his response. "We should go soon." His breath caught, but he immediately caught it and forced a smile. "Sure, we can plan that." I gave a charming smile. Perfect. Not only was Sophia his mistress, but she was also a nesting place in my home. I had hired a private investigator to follow her around, so I knew. I could see the cameras, but Vincent had set them up. It was fairly obvious that Sophia was settling into the beach house while I was at work. Vincent departed for France 2 weeks later on a business trip. Sophia, on the other hand, continued to sit in my house with ease as though she owned it. I then took my next action. To clear out the villa, I engaged a cleaning service. I told them the incorrect date, of course, since I knew Sophia would still be present. After several hours, my phone began to vibrate. Miss S. Richards, we have a problem. There's a young woman here claiming she lives at the property. Should we call the police? Yes, I said subtly. Report an intruder. I received a call from Vincent shortly after. Elena, he said, his voice piercing with fear. What the hell happened? The police called me. Oh? I interrupted him. They mentioned someone was trespassing. I didn't realize you had company. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. I ended the call. Sophia was brought in for interrogation. Just enough to frighten her. Nothing severe. The following day, Vincent barged into my office, his face taut and white with rage. What the hell did you do? I crossed my legs and leaned back in my chair. What do you mean? You called the police on Sophia. Oh, I responded, seeming to be surprised. That was Sophia? Well, how was I supposed to know? She's not on the deed. Looked like an intruder to me. Vincent's mouth clenched. Elena, what? Vincent? I said, my voice growing harsher. Are you upset because I embarrassed your mistress? Or are you upset because I caught you? The color faded from Vincent's face. You knew? I got up and walked around the desk till I was facing him. My voice grew softer as I said, Of course I knew. Vincent, you installed cameras in our bedroom to prove to your mistress you weren't touching me. Did you think I wouldn't figure it out? Vincent's mouth parted, then shut again. He twitched his hands at his sides. I put a finger to his lips and smiled sharply, saying, Shay, don't embarrass yourself. He was standing there when I turned and left the office. However, I wasn't finished yet, not even close. Sophia made a fresh Instagram post later that evening. Selfie. She was sitting cross-legged on the couch wearing one of Vincent's shirts. The caption said, Feeling cozy. Heart emoticons abound in the comments. I grabbed my phone and texted, Vincent, did you find Frank? When will you be home? Almost instantly, he responded, It's a bit complicated. I won't be back anytime soon. Take care of yourself. Brief.chili. Attached. I grinned. I then sent him Sophia's most recent post. Isn't this the same girl who asked for your number at that school event? Less than 6 months later, and she's already pregnant? She's still in college, right? No response. Sophia had made a fleeting reference to the pregnancy, enough to elicit internet pity. However, I now had proof. Not even Vincent had denied it. I was standing in front of the mirror the following morning, fiddling with my earrings. From the bed, I saw Vincent observing me with a frown on his face. Elena, I smiled and added, I'm late for a meeting. We'll talk later. When I left, he remained silent. Sophia shared another photo of her hand resting on her stomach later that day. The caption said, Our little family of 3 is finally complete. I grinned to myself. It was going to be enjoyable. Vincent wouldn't confront me about Sophia, I knew that. He wasn't the kind. Vincent was a control freak who used charm and subtly manipulated circumstances. Acknowledging a pregnancy or an affair? That would have destroyed the reputation he worked so hard to establish. No, he would attempt to make things more amicable, pretend nothing had occurred, act as though there was only a miscommunication. Because of this, I wasn't shocked when, 2 days later, he entered the house as if nothing had happened. He smiled at me from the other side of the room, put down his briefcase, and untied his tie. Hey, he murmured. I looked up from the computer. Hey! He came over to the couch, sat next to me, and tucked a lock of hair behind my ear. How was your day? I grinned. Fine. Yours? Busy, he remarked as he reclined on the pillows. We closed the deal in Paris. It's going to be big for the company. That's great, I whispered. He put his fingers through mine as he grabbed for my hand. I've been thinking, maybe we should go away for a few days. Just us. No work, no distractions. I cocked my head and said, That sounds nice. Where were you thinking? Grinning, he said. Maybe Hawaii? You always said you wanted to see Maui. I chuckled a little. Funny. I thought we were planning to visit San Francisco. His grin wavered. San Francisco? You know, I naively replied, where Sophia posted that picture. The one where she was thanking you for the Birkin. Vincent tightened his grip on my hand. Elena, I said. Relax, and withdrew my hand. It's not like I'm angry. I just have questions. About what? I put my laptop aside and closed it. Did you love her? Vincent's lips opened and closed as if he wasn't sure how to react, and his eyes widened a little. Come on, Vincent, the first urged in a stern voice. You put cameras in our bedroom. You spent thousands on gifts. You took her to the beach house. She's pregnant. Just tell me the truth. Did you love her? Vincent's mouth clenched. He didn't say anything, but his gaze clouded. I gave a faint smile. That's what I thought. With his elbows resting on his knees, Vincent leaned forward. His wedding band caught the faint light as his hands were firmly clenched together. It wasn't like that. Then, what was it like? Rubbing his hands over his face, he let out a sigh. It was easy. She made me feel young again, alive. Even when my chest clenched, I kept it to myself. Instead, I leaned back on the couch and smiled. So you threw away 10 years of marriage because a 22-year-old made you feel young? Vincent gave me a quick, remorseful glance. It wasn't like that. Then explain it to me. He took a deep swallow. I never stopped loving you, Elena. I chuckled. That's rich. So you loved me while you were screwing her? Vincent's jaw tensed. He didn't respond. Let me guess, I added in a quiet voice. She told you she was different, that she wasn't after your money, that she really saw you, made you feel important, powerful, special. Something dangerous flashed in Vincent's eyes. Stop, I muttered. Did you believe her? Did you think she actually loved you? His fists clenched at his sides as he suddenly stood up. I said, stop. Or what? I rose up as well, squinting. What are you going to do, Vincent? Cheat on me again? Install more cameras? He brushed a hand through his hair and turned away. Elena, I screwed up. I know that. But I can fix this. Fix it? I said with a sour laugh. You can't even look me in the eye right now. Vincent's mouth clenched. What do you want from me? I grinned. A divorce. Vincent's head jerked in my direction. Elena, calmly, I said. You're going to sign the papers. You'll leave with nothing. Every asset you transferred to Sophia gone. You'll walk away clean. You can't be serious. Oh, I'm very serious, I muttered beneath my breath. And if you don't, well, I have enough evidence to ruin you. All those wire transfers to Sophia's account, all those gifts, those are pretty damning when paired with the photos I have of you together. Vincent's face went white. You? You wouldn't? With a sharper smile, I took a step closer. Try me. Vincent became frightened for the first time in our marriage. For the next 3 days, Vincent stayed away from me. I could sense his mounting panic even though he stayed late at work and hardly spoke to me at home. I wasn't bluffing, and he knew it. Sophia then took the next step. Vincent's phone buzzed on the counter a few nights later, while I was in the middle of a conference call. It was facing up. On the screen, Sophia's name shone brightly. I allowed it to ring. It buzzed once more a few minutes later, this time with a text message. Babe, I'm scared. Can you come over? The sound of Vincent's footfall reverberated down the corridor. He froze when he noticed me looking at his phone. Elena, you should go, I stated calmly. Elena, she's scared, I replied as I gave him the phone. Isn't that what you wanted? To protect her? Vincent's lips curled, caught between duty and remorse. He paused. Without saying another word, he grabbed up his phone and walked away. I grinned. Excellent. Sophia uploaded a selfie 2 hours later. Her eyes were puffy and red as she sat on the couch. The caption said, I hate feeling alone. I gave an eye roll. My father and I had breakfast at the country club the following morning. When I got there, he was already reading the papers. He looked at me intently while lowering his coffee cup. How's Vincent? Busy, I said with ease. But not for much longer. My dad's eyes grew piercing. It's done? Not yet, I replied. But soon, my dad gave me a small smile. Good. Make it clean, Elena. Ruthless if necessary. Of course. Vincent arrived home late later that night. His eyes were clouded, his tie was loose, and he appeared worn out. Rubbing his temples, he took a seat at the table. The word Sophia's pregnant? He murmured softly. I know. He gave me a quick look. You knew? Of course. Vincent drooped his shoulders. It's complicated. Not really. Vincent looked into my eyes. What do you mean? I got up and moved in the direction of the window. You really think she loves you? Vincent's lips curled. She's pregnant, Elena. I gave a small smile. You sure about that? Vincent's forehead wrinkled. What are you talking about? I turned, looking intently. Vincent, did you ever think to get a paternity test? Vincent's face went white. Because I did. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. With a whisper, I said, and guess what? It's not yours. Vincent's expression fell apart. As though the truth had finally hit him, his entire body drooped. No. Yes, I said in a cold, piercing whisper. Congratulations, Vincent. You ruined our marriage for someone else's kid. Vincent's hands were shaking as he leaned back heavily. I grinned. This is only the beginning. That evening, Vincent did not return home. I wasn't shocked. After hearing what I had to say, he most likely needed some alone time in his car to come to terms with the fact that he had just thrown away his marriage and his entire life for the child of another man. I had a good night's sleep that night. I discovered a series of missed calls from Vincent when I got up the following morning. I chose to disregard them. The doorbell then rang as I was sipping my coffee. Vincent was standing there looking like hell when I opened it. His hair was untidy, his shirt was wrinkled, and there were heavy circles under his eyes. He didn't appear to have slept. He said, "We need to talk," in a gruff voice. I gave a faint smile. About what? About Sophia. Ah, I murmured, moving to make room for him, finally starting to put the pieces together. Vincent's hands were shaking a little as he wiped his face. I don't understand. How did you know? I crossed my legs and took a seat on the couch. Because I'm not an idiot, Vincent. With his elbows resting on his knees, he took a seat across from me. She told me it was mine. I believed her. I answered, Of course you did, in a stern tone. That's what you do, right? You let pretty little girls stroke your ego and make you feel important. Vincent's expression contorted. It wasn't like that, wasn't it? His hands rubbed his cheeks as he let out a shaky gasp. The test, it's real? Yes. She lied to me. I grinned icily and said, Of course she lied to you, Vincent. She knew exactly what she was doing. You were her golden ticket. Vincent's eyes became gloomy. She played me. No, I responded in a harsh tone. You played yourself. Vincent winced as if I had given him a slap. I said, You wanted to believe it was real, in a hushed voice. You wanted to believe you were still that guy. The young, successful, powerful man who could pull a girl half his age. And Sophia, she let you believe it. Vincent balled his hands into fists. I thought. I gave a sour laugh and asked, You thought she loved you? Come on, Vincent. Let's not pretend you don't know how this works. With sunken eyes, Vincent reclined. What happens now? You sign the divorce papers. He looked directly into my eyes. Elena calmly, I said, You're going to walk away with nothing. You'll hand over every asset you transferred to Sophia. The cars, the apartment, the jewelry, the cash, all of it. Vincent's jaw tensed. You can't seriously expect me to, you think I'm asking? There was silence between us. Vincent's eyes fell to the ground. What if I refuse? I gave a faint smile. Then I'll make sure every business deal you've ever touched is scrutinized. I'll make sure the board knows about the offshore accounts. The private wire transfers. You think Sophia's betrayal is humiliating? Imagine the headlines when the IRS starts asking questions. Vincent made a strong line with his mouth. You'd really ruin me? Without hesitation, Vincent's eyes grew piercing. You're cold. You made me this way. Vincent's breathing became labored, like he was searching for the woman he married, the one who loved him without conditions. His gaze swept across my... However, the girl had passed away. As soon as he put those cameras in, he killed her. Okay, he murmured quietly. Okay, I'll sign the papers. Good, I murmured as I got to my feet. We can meet with the lawyers tomorrow. Slowly, Vincent stood up. And after that? I smiled a little and replied, After that, you can do whatever you want. Maybe Sophia will take you back. Vincent's eyes became gloomy. You think I want that? I think you don't know what you want. Vincent's jaws tightened as he looked at me for a long time. I loved you, you know. I gave a small smile. That's the problem, Vincent. I loved you too. Without saying another thing, he departed. We had a meeting with the attorneys 2 days later. Vincent sat with his fists clenched across from me. As my lawyer explained the terms, he remained silent. Total forfeiture of assets. No alimony. A stringent non-compete agreement that would bar him from employment in the field for 5 years. Vincent's attorney leaned closer. His words, "This is excessive. It's generous," I responded serenely. Vincent's eyes grew piercing. Generous? You should be grateful I'm not taking you for more, I replied. Vincent tightened his jaw. And Sophia? What about her? She doesn't have anything. Saying, Not my problem, Vincent's attorney rubbed his temples and moaned. Vincent, if you sign this quietly, Vincent answered, I'll sign it. I grinned. Good boy. Something frightening flashed in Vincent's eyes, but he signed his name at the bottom of the papers without saying a word. It was finished. The demise of Vincent started a week later. Sophia had thought he would look after her. She trapped him with the pregnancy for that reason. But Vincent was broke now? She wasted no time at all. He's useless, she said on the internet. He promised me everything, and now I'm stuck with nothing. Vincent has been using business funds to support Sophia's lifestyle. This meant that everything he had invested in for the baby, including the jewelry, the Birkin, and the private school fees, was gone, seized by the business after I revealed the money payments. Sophia shared a photo of herself sobbing in a car's rear seat. It's so hard when the person you love betrays you. The remarks were brutal. Weren't you the one who got pregnant by someone else? Didn't you sleep with a married man? Girl, you played yourself. Within 1 hour, Sophia took down the post. However, things worsened. Vincent began to drink. He once demanded to see me when he arrived at the workplace. He had to be escorted out by security. Later that evening, he called me in a slurred voice. Elena, please. I can't. I ended the call. Then, one evening, Sophia arrived at my home. It was late. She was standing there in the rain, her hair matted and wet, her makeup ruined. As I opened the door, I was shoved aside as she yelled, You ruined everything! I firmly grasped her wrist. Watch yourself! Her eyes were wild as she snarled, You think you won? Vincent loves me. He's going to come back to me. We're going to rebuild our life together. I chuckled. Honey, he's not even answering your calls. Sophia's lips curled. You destroyed him. No, I answered icily. He destroyed himself. I just cleaned up the mess. A sour smile curved Sophia's lips. You're pathetic. You'll never find someone else. No one's going to love you. I gave a faint smile. I'd rather be alone than be you. Anger surged in Sophia's eyes. Then she swung around and jumped into the downpour. I closed the door. Vincent's life was disintegrating. Sophia was falling apart. And me? It was the strongest I'd ever felt. The divorce was not well received by Vincent. He made an effort to pretend he was all right throughout the first several weeks. He would upload images of himself having cocktails with friends at the gym, acting as though nothing was wrong with his life. However, I was aware. After losing everything, including his house, job, and money, the man's cracks eventually became visible. When his automobile was repossessed, it was the first obvious indication of problems. He had been using a high-end BMW that he had rented from the corporation as part of his executive contract for years. But he was gone now. The lease was null and void. As the tow vehicle pulled it away, he watched from the sidewalk. Later, I watched the video. It was captured on video and uploaded to the internet. From CEO to walking. Damn, karma's a bitch. With a glass of wine in hand, I watched the film and grinned to myself. Sophia then left him. She did, of course. Now that the money was gone, why would she stay? That evening, she shared a fuzzy photo of herself holding a cocktail on a man's wrist. Another man. The caption said, On to better things. Vincent arrived at her flat that evening, so he must have seen it. He stumbled and slurred his words because he was intoxicated. The screaming was heard by Sophia's neighbors. The cops were called. Vincent lost his temper at that point. Screaming at Sophia and accusing her of lying, he grabbed her. He insisted on knowing whose child it was. He pleaded with her to return him. She yelled at him to get out as she shoved him. She took a glass off the counter and hurled it at him when he didn't. Against the wall, it broke. Vincent sprang at her. The hall reverberated with Sophia's cries. Vincent had her pushed against the wall with his hands around her neck. By the time the police came, he was immediately taken into custody. Battery and assault. Sophia made a charge. That evening, the tale made the news. His mugshot was displayed everywhere. Disgraced former CEO, Vincent Richards, charged with domestic assault. He had black circles under his eyes, was unshaven, and appeared hollowed out. While I was at the spa getting a facial, I watched the news. The esthetician's eyebrows went up as she looked at the screen. "Did you know him?" I gave a small smile. "We used to be married." "Wow," she said in a whisper. "You dodged a bullet." I grinned to myself. A week later, Sophia dismissed the charges. She did, of course. Sophia had no money without Vincent's. In addition to not wanting the exposure, she couldn't afford to take him to court. Instead, she pretended to be the victim on the internet, uploaded a photo of herself with the following caption, showing injuries on her neck. I trusted him. The remarks were harsh. "Girl, you slept with a married man. What did you expect? Didn't you lie about the baby being his?" This is just karma coming full circle. A week later, Sophia removed her social media accounts. Then, she was gone. According to some, she returned to living with her parents. According to some, she found another wealthy man to fall in love with. To be honest, I didn't give a damn. In contrast, Vincent, he made an attempt to contact me. He started by leaving voicemails. "Elena, please. I'm sorry. I made a mistake." Then there are texts. "Can we talk? I need you. I still love you." I disregarded them all. Then he arrived at the residence one evening. It was almost midnight. I examined the security camera after hearing the doorbell ring. Vincent stood in the rain, his hair wet and his suit rumpled. His voice broke across the speaker. "Elena, please, let me in." I pulled the door open. Vincent's hands were shaking and his eyes were ringed in red. He muttered, "I don't have anywhere else to go." I folded my arms and rested against the doorframe. Sounds like a personal problem. "Elena, please." He moved to me and said, "I need you." I gave a faint smile. "You needed me when you were screwing Sophia?" Shame contorted Vincent's face. I wasn't thinking clearly." Vincent took a deep breath. I took a step back as his hand raised toward me. "Elena, I made a mistake. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but," his tone cracked, "I still love you." I cocked my head to observe him. "You still love me?" "Yes." Desperate eyes filled his eyes. "I can't lose you. Please." I gave a chilly smile. "Vincent, yes?" He took a step forward. "I don't care." His face fell apart. "What?" "I don't care," I said again, my tone piercing. "You're nothing to me." "Less than nothing." Despite opening his mouth, Vincent did not make a sound. He appeared to have had the air knocked out of him. The words, "Go home, Vincent." I said, "Oh, wait, sorry. You don't have one anymore." Vincent's breathing became labored. Tears were streaming from his eyes. Elena in his face, I closed the door. Then Vincent was gone. There were rumors that he returned to his parents' Connecticut home. He was seen working for a modest company as a financial consultant. He was apparently barely making ends meet. I didn't give a damn. I was occupied with taking back my life. Under my direction, the business was flourishing. In just the first quarter following Vincent's departure, I reduced dead weight, renegotiated contracts, and raised profitability by about 40%. My dad was overjoyed. "I should have put you in charge years ago," he replied. "Yes," I said with ease. "You should have." After the divorce, my social media presence took off. The tale of a disgraced wife regaining her authority was a hit. I inclined myself toward it. I shared photos from opulent vacations, business travels, and formal functions. What about the remarks? Queen behavior. She left with half and still ended up with more. Sophia could never. I took a long break from dating. I didn't think I had to. I was flirted with by men at charity auctions, business dinners, and functions. However, I wasn't interested in any of them. Then I met someone one evening. I was in New York for a fundraising event. He had bright green eyes, dark hair, and a towering build. At the bar, he came over to me. "Elena, right?" I grinned. "Depends. Who's asking?" "James," he remarked while holding out his hand. "I just read about your company's acquisition deal. Impressive work." I felt the power in his hold as I shook his hand. "Impressive research." His grin got bigger. "Maybe we could discuss business over dinner sometime." My smile hardened as I leaned slightly in his direction. "Dinner, huh?" James's eyes darkened with curiosity. "Unless you're busy." Before responding, I took a sip of my champagne and let the tension to build between us. "I think I could make time." James grinned. "Good." Sophia vanished from view. Vincent turned into a warning story. "And me?" I prospered. Vincent had misjudged me. I would be weak, he thought, that in order to keep him, I would cry, plead, and degrade myself. He believed that without him, I would crumble. He was mistaken. Standing at the top of the business I helped create, I was surrounded by individuals who admired me for my intelligence rather than my last name. Brutal, able. Vincent believed he could shatter me. However, in the end, he only strengthened me.